Hey, I realize I don't look great and we don't have proper lighting, but this is just an IMO 1. The reason we decided to do this, besides the fact that I went down a rabbit hole and I identified all kinds of things that I want to explore, is there's a serious problem with like leaching and other fertilizer issues going on across the country. So one of the practices that is out there is a Korean farming technique that actually helps reduce a lot of the fertilizers. But the benefit to an arthropod breeder is the fact that healthy, happy arthropods ultimately are going to produce more and all of those practices. So I'm starting this video, and it's, again, there are much better people out there that you can watch this from. It's just a very entry-level way to make your own, because inoculating your soil with these indigenous microbiomes ultimately get into the soil, which your detritivores will begin to eat the soil and all the stuff in it. All of your predatory species will eat the things that are eating the microbiomes, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, it's just really good. Think of like your microbiomes within your gut and floral bacteria. So that's what we're ultimately trying to achieve here. So this is just IMO 1. I hope you enjoy. It's not great, but I know a lot of people said they were interested, so thank you.
Hey everybody, so you guys were asking about IMO, so I'm going to show you the second step of the process. So first what we've done is we have made rice, and we have put rice in a bin. Now, I didn't have cheesecloth like is recommended, so you take it and you bury it in your backyard, and what you're going to get is this very, very moldy, and I'm seeing now why people use cheesecloth and not a pillowcase, as I have done. Don't like the smell.
The smell is no good.
The smell is not good. But what you've done is you're creating, IMO stands for Indigenous Microorganisms. So you are creating mold, essentially. So what I'm doing now, this is obviously gross, and I will throw that away. I am separating the dirt, but the part 2 of it, to create the microorganisms as a way to inoculate your soil, is you have to, I've already teared it. Now what I'm doing is I'm weighing it again. 968. So what's, let's say 965 minus 155. What is that math?
Well, yeah, don't ask me this.
Wait for part 2. Oh no. Okay, so yes, there's some dirt in there, and that won't matter, and I'll explain that later. But see all this green? This is all penicillin. There's lots of like the yellows and other colors are good mold at the end of the day. And the point of indigenous microorganisms is you are basically inoculating your soil to the area that you're at. So what you're essentially doing is you are taking your soil, and for instance, if I want to grow something and I have the soil here, a lot of times you get plants from different areas, I'm inoculating the soil, so whatever makes them thrive here in the soil is what's going to help the plant themselves thrive, which helps with a bunch of different things, which we'll go into another video. So after you've done the rice, you've put them underground for a week. I now take this, and so what I need to do is I need to measure this to where my number here is 1657, was it?
56.
1656 by adding sugar. And what the sugar is going to do is it's going to pull all the water that's left in this rice out, which will allow for liquid IMO, as well as separate the solids and the liquids. So 16, just going to keep adding. 12, 14, 1656, was it?
Yes.
1670, close enough. And now, keep in mind, this is going to smell like a brewery. Now what I have to do is I have to mix these together. So let me first get them off of my scale. And I'm going to just mix the rice and the sugar. And I'll come back to you when it's complete. What you would never think is when you actually add the sugar to it, it pulls all the liquids out. You can already see it's like goopy and just disgusting. So now what I'm gonna do, and obviously stay tuned, is I'm gonna put this in this jar, and then I will teach you guys the next step. So what this is doing is it's gonna separate the solids from the liquids, but what it's also gonna do is the microorganisms that are in this are actually going to, essentially they're going to die, and then they will begin to flower, which is what you ultimately want. So stay tuned.